Hey, and welcome back to the Noonchi Podcast.
Because we have two slates, but we also need that.
Why is that?
To show that we are starting.
I want to push the Charlie Brown button.
Go ahead.
It's really far.
Can you press it for him?
Because that's
not from Charlie Brown, but you know,
no, that's how Charlie.
It's not from Peanuts.
That's how.
The teachers talk.
Yeah,
all
Charlie
the adults. All the adults.
Wah, 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 wah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Noonchi Podcast. I almost call it the F It Podcast. Wow,
You do that every now and then.
Yeah. We have a special guest, a returning guest, the first ever two-time guest.
Wait, really?
Actually,
No,
is that true?
Two-time.
I'm sure you guys have other friends.
We have other friends, but
they're too
only one person that said okay twice.
Yeah.
Is our buddy Rob Joe, ladies and gentlemen. What up, Rob?
Instead of waving at the camera, I'm going to wave at the TV so that it'll confuse everyone.
Welcome back, Rob.
Rob, you were in a Guayabera the last time you were here.
So I actually recently rewatched that podcast that we did.
Right.
Oh, to prepare for this one?
Just I kind of had forgotten what we had talked about. It was really good. Our conversations were really good. They were, topical, important. It all seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, I guess because you guys were in like a less fancy studio.
I think I do remember us saying we should. We're actually vetting you to take over my place.
I think we were encouraging me to do a podcast, which I still plan to do. Yeah. Which I still plan to do someday.
Yeah. Someday? Like, that sounds too far away.
Yeah, what's fucking taking you so long, bro?
That's so stupid.
Why are you procrastinating?
You're better at this than I am.
I agree.
You're better than this than arguably Danny is.
Probably not.
I am a...
Cheers. Cheers to that.
You know what, though? I will say one thing from our last conversation, which I highly encourage everyone to watch, just so we don't have to repeat all the same material.
Right.
But I was talking about IMDb pages because
that's right.
One of the weird dumb things I like to do is check out my IMDb page to see. I don't know. Even though I haven't done anything.
Your own?
Yeah.
Sure, you have. You were an associate producer on Music and Reality.
This is true, which you should watch right now on VOD. Link below.
Wait, what? Don't laugh too hard. Come on.
Link here.
Yo, that movie was in theaters.
I know, but now that I do this,
it's on VOD now too.
Now you have to do motion graphics, Bobby.
I'm not doing no work.
Every time I do this,
things have changed, my friend.
I'm creating motion graphics work for Bobby to do.
You want to know why Bobby and I took a 3-month break? Is because Bobby was like, "Yo, fuck that! I ain't doing any of that." Right? He was beat. I wasn't beat.
Everything was backwards because if you want to do a podcast, you have to like do bare bones and figure out if people like you first of all.
Right.
So we're still in that stage. Like nobody's listening to our podcast still, and everyone that does, they either want me gone. And Danny to find a new host. So we have Rob here to.
Well, Rob. Okay, so last week's episode, right? We asked our listeners, what should we do to make this podcast better? Do you like our chemistry, listeners? Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of comments, a lot of.
I finally got through them.
Yeah.
Most of them were positive.
Yes.
And then there was one person that says Danny needs a new co-host.
Yes. Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I responded, I've been telling Danny that for years, right? But also I was going to respond again, go fuck yourself.
You should have.
But yeah, because I don't know this person. It's online. You can be a different personality. You know, you can just like...
Yeah, I don't know who this person is either.
I can tell you guys that when I first started broadcasting back in 2004...
Wow.
2004, right? Which was like a teenager ago.
That's true.
Yeah.
The first night I was on air, a commenter wrote on the board, "What is this, amateur night?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
Ooh, that stings.
What broadcast? What station was it?
this was on Arirang.
Arirang?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, like where many an English language broadcaster in Korea gets
I didn't
their
know
start.
you double dipped. You went into Arirang and to TBS.
Dude,
where else did you go?
Anyone who does broadcasting in English in Korea usually starts off at Arirang, and then they'll kind of do like a tour of like EBS, TBS, KBS.
Were you on EBS as well?
I have done something on all of the English language broadcasting in Korea at some point or another. Although, you know, they didn't all start at the same time.
It just dumbfounding that you don't have a podcast, Rob.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is, when you're a professional broadcaster, you do it for money.
Oh, right.
and the thing...
What?
No.
You don't do it for the love of it?
I mean, that's the whole idea of it, right? So I was always broadcasting for money, and then
But that's the thing. You're not allowed to talk about what you really want to talk about for money. But Rob, you have so many opinions, and you can talk about stuff that people don't care about. So like,
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But that's the joy of it, right? Like
that's
when you get older, you realize that it's also cool to just not talk.
That's true.
I would like to get paid money to not talk. I mean, I would also like to get paid money to talk. I'd need a job is what I'm saying. And why I'm
That's
here.
basically ASMR. That's ASMR. You don't have to talk. You can just make sounds.
You can put my LinkedIn here now.
We're not going to do it. Stop doing that.
The more you know. Each one. I'll send you the assets for you to just you can just plop them right into the timeline.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do anything for you.
I can give you like a larger version of my head.
Yeah, you can body worship all you want. It's not happening, buddy. All this hand motion.
Maybe I can draw a track mark on my forehead, and then you can just replace my head.
For those of you that did not see the first episode Rob was on, Rob is really well known, not for just like being a radio disc jockey, but he's also more famously known as the Asian Jon Snow. Go Google it right now.
Someone made fun of me when I handed them I gave them the link to the podcast, because I really enjoyed our conversation last time, because we mostly talked about wanting to make content and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do Bobby's podcast again, Bobby and Danny's podcast again. And then I told him I did it, and Kagan, and I sent him the link. He's like, ha ha ha, Asian Jon Snow. Oh, but the other thing I was gonna say, Danny has the most IMDb. I forgot. That was what I meant
Credits?
to say. Yeah, and I totally forgot.
Oh, man,
because
you really like.
no, because Danny's entire career happened when I was in Korea, so I didn't know anything about it.
I don't think most people know that I had a career.
Danny's
ever.
IMDb is pretty extensive.
Yeah, no,
Not really.
Yeah,
it's
it is
pretty impressive.
more so than ours.
I mean, out of the three of us,
Yeah, but that's like winning the Special Olympics too.
we made that joke last time, Danny.
Stop doing that. That's not. It's not appropriate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were in. We're pussified now. What's going on, guys?
This isn't the F It podcast, because you can't just say whatever you want.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Say whatever you want. We have no
Speaking
chance.
of segues,
Yeah.
All right, what sponsors
Yeah.
can we get with that?
No, hey, guys.
Whatever you want.
In real time, I'm giving you a way out. Speaking of segues,
Oh, so anyway,
Yeah, there
Rob
we go.
is also known for being the host of I Wouldn't Go In There on Nat Geo.
Now that makes me sad.
Why? That's
Actually,
really
you know-
cool.
you
That
know,
was
this is really
so
fascinating.
super cool.
I wouldn't go in there. That was the name of the show.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Haunted houses.
I was just talking to someone about I think she was getting some gig and was asking me about advice and stuff, and asked like, "Oh, what are you up to?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm just kind of resetting my expectations for the year like everyone else. And then she's like, "Why don't you work in broadcasting anymore?" And I said, "That's a good question. People just stopped offering me money." And so I kind of stopped. But then that night I got an email from like some random director in the UK that I had talked to like years ago. So once a year, I get a random production company that will say like, "Oh, we're thinking about doing this show.
Yeah.
Are you interested?" And I always say yes. And then I never hear from them again. And that happens every year. And it reminds me.
So next time you got to say no.
Well, there's a thing called. There's also a thing called following up. Maybe.
No, I mean, it's usually like a couple emails back and forth.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So every year.
Hey, what's going on with this thing?
Every year, I think. But the good thing about this year is one can assume that nothing will happen all year long because we're still living in an international hellscape of nightmarish pandemics and negativity.
We the Noonchi Podcast actually broadcasts also in the UK. So, consider this your call this year. We're looking for a new co-host for Danny. And
I'm starting to sense a lot of tension. And, like now that I'm sat right in between, I'm kind of doing like the tennis ball.
I love this show because I get to vent and stuff. But if people aren't enjoying it, then I can still be here and produce. I love producing. Like we produce a number of podcasts now, and that's like my favorite thing to do. I love being a part of being behind the scenes and stuff, but I don't necessarily need to be in this chair. But I think you were born to be behind a mic.
All right. I'm going to pretend that this is the new year or this will come out time to near Lunar New Year, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to
Actually, it's going to come out this week.
And as a palate cleanser / just in case you want to cut everything before this and little wipe, maybe some graphics.
I'm not going to do any editing, man.
Anyway, what are you guys' plans for this year? Like not New Year's resolutions or any of that shit. Just
for the podcast or for our life?
Like I think we're all at an age where every year you have to go, oh fuck. What am I going to do this year?
I'll answer that quickly with I'm taking it one day at a time, but I realized I need to do this one thing. I need to use up all my hotel toiletries, like the hotel shampoos and soaps. And I'm already through January. I'm already halfway. I finished the shampoos. I have a ton of conditioners and body lotion, but I'm gonna use all that stuff. No more hoarding.
I am totally with you, Bobby. I am the same way. I'm trying to use everything in my house, extremely expired condiments and things like
food.
That. Yeah. Just gotta squeeze it into your mouth lest it go to waste.
Yeah.
And then that way when you die, you won't have too much extra trash at the end. But I totally had this exact same fear.
It's cool though that you have really good stuff in your house. Like you're very, you have high taste, good taste in things. So even your old condiments and stuff are of the highest quality.
Yes. Like truffle oil that's gone bad.
Truffle oil is hard to salvage. It goes bad fast.
Yeah. All right. Bobby's somewhat existential thing. Danny.
I've decided that I was going to read more books this year.
All right.
Read some books.
Yeah. The latest book I read is Why We Sleep. And it's a dude, a scientist that's a sleep study scientist about the health benefits of sleep and what REM sleep is and blah, 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 blah. Which sucks because after I read it and the importance of how important sleep is, I'm sleeping less.
Oh, really?
Because
you're sleeping less.
Because my brain goes, this is good for you, stupid. So fucking go to sleep. And my body goes, sorry.
You know what you should? You know what you should do? You should tell yourself that story. You'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm in a weird mood today. I'm very
No, this is good. This is good. You know what? I'm gonna play therapist now. I'm sensing a lot of tension today. I feel like I am a referee, an umpire in a tennis match. I'm doing a lot of back and forth. Do we want to talk about any of this?
No. No, because I kind of know where Bobby's at right now.
I'm going through a lot right now.
Yeah.
It's a really weird time.
That's why I'm shutting the fuck up because
I need to get a lot out.
Because unfortunately, I don't vent to anybody.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't vent to anybody.
That's true.
Because when I do vent to some people, they'll be like, whoa, man, what the fuck, right? So my whole thing is I internalize it and I figure out how to get rid of it in my own way. And I haven't found it in the last few months.
So you're saying you haven't had sex in a few months?
No, with this kind of pent up rage, some people will die. Right. Okay. So
that's danger.
Yeah, I am at one of those. I'm the only person here that people go, oh, he doesn't look like he's stressed. I'm like, I want to strangle half of the people in this room. Not in this room, but in this office.
Yeah. All right.
Thankfully, no one in this office listens to this podcast.
I want to strangle half of you motherfuckers, but I don't do it because you know what? That's not what you're supposed to do.
I think it's interesting and important to talk about this kind of thing. Not necessarily like naming names and stuff. Like,
you're made for this.
Bobby, I mean, there's like a stress theme going on, right? Like you talked about it as rage, but you also said rage stress. I would feel like the rage is like how you want to vent the stress.
Yes.
But like, you know, you'd rather like, I don't know.
I can't do it here.
I mean,
maybe we can. Maybe Rob, your job today for this episode, you gotta get Danny to cry.
No, we're amongst friends. I think it's important as friends to not take your stress out on each other, but to, you know, it's cool to lean, right? It's cool to lean on each other a bit.
I've seen Danny stressed. I haven't seen him really vent though. I've heard him talk shit, but but not really vent. Like, hey, I just need someone to listen and not respond, and just so I could say it all. You know, I do that to Danny all the time.
Yeah,
he never does that to me. So I think you deserve it, though.
Danny, why do you why do you feel that you can't vent on? Well, okay, maybe not like
he said it earlier.
On a podcast.
I mean, just in.
Because in this cancel culture, people will be like, hey, you shouldn't say that.
You say a lot of bad things.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? What are you talking about?
Okay.
I'm sick of the pussification of everything around me. I really am. It's like, I'm like, what? You're tired, motherfucker?
Do you feel like it's leveling out, though? It's gone too far? Cancel culture? I feel like it's kind of getting a little bit of balance back.
Nah, I don't. I think.
I mean, people try to cancel Dave Chappelle, right? But he met it head on and kind of like chilled everyone out.
I don't think it was society that accepted that. I think it was Dave going, fuck you guys. I've walked away from shit. Like, there's nothing you can take away from me. And that's the attitude that I respect from people. But there are very few people in the entertainment business that when push comes to shove, will have their will be willing to risk their spot in the business.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a lot of FU money too. So
like, if I had FU money, oh man, I'm verbally burning a lot of things down.
I don't think but I would argue against this. Like, I don't think cancel culture is much of an issue. And we've talked about this like outside of these contexts where I still think that we're kind of at a transition period in culture, right?
Right.
Entertainment, comedy, definitely in the West, in America, and I mean, I guess just here as well. But I think in that transition, I think all of the balancing of like previously never addressed like injustices and all of that hasn't quite landed, right? Because like we look. Like the people who yell about cancel culture, like not you as an entertainer venting about, in a sense, like not finding the ability to have like creative freedom is how I'm hearing it, right?
Yeah.
That's, I think, different from a lot of aspects where, you know, like people who like literally lose their jobs because of, you know, like pylons on the internet, some very deserved and some extremely not, right?
Yeah.
And then I mean, I've been reading a lot of Twitter, so I'm like super
You are on Twitter a lot.
I'm on Twitter a lot. It's super not good for my health, I think, but at the same time, I think it's also interesting to stay aware of what's going on.
Is it less fun without Trump on Twitter?
No, it's way better.
Better.
Because I actually think this kind of conversation is extremely important.
Yeah.
I don't have the solutions, because I think as an artist, there should be some, like, you want to have like some flexibility in just being able to create stuff.
To me, the only thing, look, but whether it's jokes or music or whatever, it's not going to be liked by 100% of the people. Right? It's impossible. Yeah. So if I tell a joke and if 10% of the people that listen to it laughed at, to me, it's still good for those 10%. Right? Now, the thing is, some people will get offended because of possibly vocabulary words. Right?
Okay.
You know? And then I'm like, okay, now we're at a point where I'm like, but why are you offended by that shit?
It's like a Bob Saget move.
Yeah.
You know, Bob Saget could probably do different humor he could be Danny Tanner and be more successful, have more followers.
Yeah.
But he chooses to do dirty comedy.
But that's what he started comedy with.
Yeah.
Right? Like before the Danny Tanner shit.
I still think this is kind of like the larger challenge is to develop past a lot of pre-established like ideas of humor, right? And I think there is a lot of there's a lot of leaning on old tropes that happen to hit upon a lot of people that just weren't able to fight back, and now we're hearing from them.
So I mean, my point is, okay, so
yeah,
and I don't have a joke for this, right? But
yeah.
So there was a horrific ordeal in Korea with that adopted baby, where the parents apparently abused her to death recently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if this story was in America, I bet you there will be a few comedians and even famous ones that will attempt to make a joke about it. Right?
Eventually. Like there's still time,
but this news is probably not going to make it to America, right? So you know, but like if it was set in America,
I know what you're saying, yeah,
right?
Yeah, if it happened in America,
and then say someone like Justin Lick will attempt to try it, right? Yeah. Or there's not just him, but there's going to be a few comedians that do. And to me, the idea is that we're not making fun of her death. You know what I mean? We're trying to.
It's that argument, the attempt. To be funny.
Yeah. So like, why? And if there are some people that laugh at that, then to me that's comedy to them, to those whoever laugh at it.
I mean,
right?
and they're not necessarily laughing at the dead baby. It's more they're laughing at the attempt of being funny, it worked. At
the craziness of this person trying to make a joke about that.
Very, very.
Right.
This is kind of amusing because, in a sense, I get a lot of shit from friends. Like, I love me a good dead baby joke, and like I'm not talking about any specific dead babies.
Yeah.
Like, just in a sense, what you can look at is this weird untouchable aspect of like some like idolized pure innocence that's always like, think of the children,
right? Think
of the babies, right? And so anytime you make a comment about dead babies, people get generally really upset.
You know what a comedy is? Comedy is like a festival game, or what do you call it, like a carnival game. It's like whack-a-mole or something. You know, like you're not gonna hit like every single mole. But the attempt is what comedy is. So sometimes you hit it, but for comedians, they have a really difficult job because they have to attempt trying to hit every mole, right? But they'll probably only hit 1 out of 10.
But what if the moles are actually people?
But that's actually essentially what we're talking about, because they're hurting somebody's feelings if they if they touch that kind of humor.
I mean, I'm not a stand-up comedian. So
It's not going to happen in Korea for a long time.
It won't ever happen. Like, okay, so there are 9/11 jokes, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there will never be the Seoul ferry jokes in Korea. Impossible. You can't do it. Right?
Yeah, no.
But in America,
No way.
there have been 9/11. I'm not saying that they're good 9/11 jokes, but they've made it on TV. Bill Maher tried to like, people have done it, right? And to me,
Right.
the idea that people go, you can't do that is asinine to me, because like there was tragedy and people died. There's families that are forever going to be heartbroken by it.
Yeah.
But I can't just, like, not just me, but everybody just kind of like be like, wait a minute, I don't want to hurt people. Then don't listen to that joke.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you have to listen to it?
I think this keeps coming back to certain things, right? It's like there's touching the third rail, and then there's like the power dynamics, right? So like touching the third rail, in a sense, like there's certain types of subject matter that are extremely toxic. Right?
Touching the third rail is meaning that's where the electricity comes.
Yeah,
that's
and kills you. Right.
That's
right,
the
right.
harm.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I just when I think of like from the example of like this Seoul, for example, right? Like the power dynamics between what happened where like the Seoul ferry disaster and why it's such a heated thing here is because of the power dynamics of like the lack of government like response, the failure to rescue, the continued like ignoring of like the family's attempts, the highly politicized like reactionary ways in which like those families were like demonized in by certain like parts of society here. Like that power dynamic consistently has made it toxic, where you wouldn't like, you wouldn't say, for instance, go and eat pizza in front of like the people who are having hunger strikes that were like family members. Like this actually happened.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Whereas the 9/11 power dynamics were never established, right? It wasn't like a clear, like these people, the terrorists weren't in power, The US government were in power, but they were the victims, right? So there was like a very distinct difference in the power dynamics. And so when we talk about like, say, cancel culture for the specific purposes of like certain subjects where it's generally not a good idea to touch that subject,
of course,
versus say like, that's just wrong, dude. Like that kind of aspect.
I mean, I'm not going to just be like, hey, let's think of every shitty, fucked up situation that happened and like write jokes for it. Of course not. But the idea is, I just don't like it when people go, you can't talk about it. Like why not?
Like I kind of agree with Danny, because you should be allowed as a comic to be given the opportunity to try to make something funny,
right?
Because most specials, like 1 hour specials, they're just like a collection of jokes that hit, right? But how are you gonna get there unless you try with all the bad jokes?
There's Holocaust jokes,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And
there's one workaround. There's one workaround with all those jokes. Like when somebody tells it, for the first person to tell it actually gets a pass. Because all they have to say as a tagline, too soon, and everybody laughs at the too soon. Like,
I mean, I would not purport to tell Danny how he has to.
This is a comedy podcast. I think we're getting too deep.
Well, in that case, this is comedy, right? But Danny's the one. So here's the thing, right? Danny is the one who does it for a living, and he's the one who puts his neck out. So I think there has to be like. I definitely cede a lot of ground for you being the only one of us here who it's easy to theorize that one should do this or one should not do that without ever having put myself out there, But that being said, I think there's, the idea is, can you or can you not tell those jokes? Obviously, you can tell those jokes. Obviously, you can tell those jokes like in like open mics or like at your shows or whatnot. The issue is the backlash is not worth it for you, right? For the most part. And so I think the idea is that it's not that you can't tell these jokes. It is just the backlash is too certain that you don't feel like it's worth it for you. And that's like a judgment that you wish you didn't have to make.
Yeah.
Or you had more freedom and more like benefit of the doubt that you
Yeah, I mean,
that you could get away with that.
I mean, technically, I can say a Seoul Ferry joke on stage. I have that freedom.
Yeah.
But guaranteed, that's going.
They're vacuuming.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are gonna be aghast at me even attempting.
Yeah.
Like me using that phrase without any punchline or me talking about the death of kids or whatever, none of that, but me just using that as a reference. It's kind of like for example, this Seoul Ferry incident, right? If I say anything to that effect, game over. Like the DJ pulled the plug. You know what I mean? The LP scratch.
The same thing goes for all art. I mean, we're essentially talking about like what you do and you can and can't do in art. I mean, the consequences of doing something that everybody does just makes you kind of like flat and not interesting, right? So you want to stand out. You want to do things, take chances, right? A lot of people in music too take chances and do something that is very unpopular. Then it becomes a trendsetter,
right?
You know, that's the way it works. But sometimes people take those big chances and it actually ruins their careers.
Right.
I still think it matters what the joke would be, how you told it, and then where things fall on the whole thing. Like,
no, I like what I'm saying is like and this is not just Korea.
Yeah.
Certain words, even with a context that, you know, with your logic, it makes complete sense and is fine. With your words, you know, with their usage of words, people will just use that and be like, oh, I can't believe he used that word. Use that word in a comedy club. So you're making fun of that word, right? That's how people. It's like the way people read shit. Trust me, every time you open your mouth for the last 10 episodes has been that. And hence people go, I need a new co-host, right?
It's just getting too real, man. Like this is the Noonchi. I want to.
I will say this though. No, I think there is. Wait, I've totally lost my train of thought now.
Thank God.
All right, Bobby, make it funny. Go. Go. Now you want to go somewhere, make it funny. Let's go.
It's just getting too like it's getting too serious.
Okay.
I mean,
it's too adult. It's too like I
mean, okay, like Bobby as your guest, I can say like, you know, if this were improv comedy, you have to go yes and.
Yeah.
You're not yes anding, Bobby.
I don't know what that means, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And
here, I'll give you. You can do like a title here. It'll sweep everything.
I've never done improv, although I've been to some.
The general idea is when you're in an improv situation,
you never stop the flow. So whatever the situation is, you go yes, and then
I'm just being selfish though, because I totally kind of you guys lost me, and so I'm just being honest with my feelings, and in the form of crickets.
I genuinely think I understand where Danny comes from on a lot of this, especially again going back to this.
Danny is the smartest person I know. Like I'm not even joking. Like honestly, Danny is his critical thinking and just like people don't give him enough credit. And the reason why he's such a great comic is because he has a great mind.
Right, but I also think there's a lot of bad faith attacks out there that are like overly focused on, you know, like buzzwords or like subjects that are just extremely taboo, and the whole point of comedy is to play with those taboos. I still think that it is a worthy challenge to work past those, but not just be like, why can't I just talk about this? You know what I mean? And not that I'm saying Danny does that. I think for me, I have a 욕심 for all the different ways Danny can be funny, right? And
욕심, what does that mean again?
Just like I've heard so much of his material.
Yeah.
For me, that I love hearing like all the different ways his material has developed over the last like 10 years that I've heard your material.
Yeah.
And
likewise.
when we get drunk and I argue with Danny about material that one should progressively like keep like developing, and material that maybe one needs to step away from. And we've had this discussion like in good faith, I would say, multiple times. My whole thing is like, that's the challenge that I think you can overcome.
Can I just say, I don't mean to change the subject, but like, can I say to our listeners, we should auction off like a night out with Rob. Like, getting drunk with Rob is an experience. Like,
not anymore. Now it's just like, oh no, that old man fell asleep.
Arguing with Rob when he's
bring
drunk.
Your dog. You'll be fine.
I mean, actually, you get into really, really crazy, incredible debates when you're drunk, and it's actually really, really fun being a part of those debates and conversations. Not only debates, it's like really good conversations. And we've been at your house till like the wee hours in the morning. We've seen the sunrise just because the conversation brought us so far. You know, we can auction that off.
I miss the ability to have those conversations till the wee hours of the morning. I think now because of old age and the passage of time.
I heard you did that on Saturday with the DVD.
And the vid and the COVID.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, definitely that. No, I just mean like after a certain point, I'm so old now that if we're just having like a good night out drinking by like 2 a.m, all I'm really saying is, I
got a text from Rob at like 3 a.m. on Saturday night. And all it was roar.
Like, you know what? That is
RAWRRRR.
That is my text for when I tell people I am thinking of you.
I appreciate it, but it made me very like envious of.
Yes.
Like I miss being single and being able to.
It's kind of sexual.
It's playful.
Sexual. It's like flirting, right? It's like rawr.
It depends who you send it to, I guess. I didn't read it that way.
Probably shouldn't send it to your like recruiter, your boss.
Right.
You're just like my wife, like I'm thankful she didn't get that text and be like, wait, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Like she's
What is this? Who is this?
Who is it?
Robot.
Or what does that mean? Is that like secret talk for get your ass out here now? Like
it means he's drunk.
Yeah.
Because this is how a big cat or a big
But just
lion.
know that I appreciate it. Do it. Please send me those texts all the time. I love living vicariously through my friends.
I have another reset question for you. Like, I mean, I love talking to Danny. I hear a certain like fatigue, right? Does it feel for you guys like we're just still stuck? Like, and I think this is the one one of the very good things about being in Asia for Lunar New Year. New Year is just like a dry run for Lunar New Year, when we can truly get over all the shit that has weighed us down over the last year.
Lunar New Year? What?
Yeah, Lunar New Year.
Why is it different than regular New Year?
We don't honor Solar New Year in our family. We consider it a white conspiracy.
It is a bigger deal in Korea, and you feel it, and so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't celebrate Lunar New Year back in the States.
Not at all.
Aren't you glad now to have like a second shot? Like, let's say December rolls around, January rolls around, you're like, oh yeah, New Year. Oh shit, still Corona. Oh shit, we're still under lockdown. Oh shit, I'm still doing the same stuff, whatever. Like, it's still cold.
Yeah, actually, now that you put it that way, I'm gonna use that.
No, it's like if things work out immediately on the first, like if you get taller and better looking and all those things that I keep expecting to happen in a year now.
Yeah, that's it's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna hit my growth spurt any day now, Danny. Shut the fuck up.
I haven't grown since I was 12, man.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn,
I've grown.
Damn, Danny, you were a big 12-year-old.
Can we do
I've grown. The X and Z horizontals have
Same
been
here.
growing, but
I think I'm gonna gain up on Danny soon because I got this dad bod going, and
at
it's
least you're
just
dad.
Man, I can't like. Hey,
for us, it's just
Noonchi game,
bod.
that balance game. Do you want to try one of those questions on there? But that's the top card deck. It's actually
it's all in Korean, Bob.
I feel drunk already off of the one beer.
Rob's Korean's really good, and I can understand like 50% of it. They're actually really good questions. We went over. There's another podcast that we produced called the the Phase 2 podcast, and we did it on the Second Win podcast, and it was a lot of fun.
Bobby, what are you stressed about?
What am I stressed about?
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't air certain things.
Being a dad.
No, that's like the joy of my life. Although I do have a lot of pressure that I put on myself. I want to be a better dad, but I feel like I'm very far from that. So I have to focus on what I'm good at. So I'm just trying to be a good influence on him based on what I know. But that's my day-to-day kind of joy in,
But you don't know much.
Anyway, yeah. But I read to him every day.
In English?
In English.
Okay,
yes.
good.
This is. I kind of want to get back to this. Danny and I were talking outside about the things that we're going to try and do, like
Natural host here.
Actively this year. Danny was talking about like reading more, but you were also talking about like hitting up more of your filmmaking shit, right?
Yeah, I have a screenplay that's on the top of my head that I have not touched.
Yo. Also,
All right,
Danny has. Anyway.
Public accountability. Let's make some yaksok to each other for the year.
We all have screenplays. Sorry,
We have screens.
All right,
we all have screenplays.
Danny?
in the works.
when was the last time you finished a screenplay?
J-Town Cowboys.
All right, what year was that?
Yeah, but
A long
All right.
time ago.
Danny, on this podcast, which
Is it
we assume
binding?
people are watching,
Is it binding?
binding yaksok.
yo, we got like 80 plays on the last.
There we go.
one on
80,
YouTube.
80 people will witness your yaksok. You finish a vomit draft of either a pilot or a feature by when?
By the end of the year.
By the end of the year? All right.
I mean, you started K-Town Cowboys
All right.
too, also, right?
That's
So
that's Danny's
Donnie. Donnie.
Danny's writing yaksok. Mine is I will have a first draft of this pilot that I'm working on now by it's going to be a vomit draft by February 1st.
February 1st.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'm gonna give you so much crap.
If
man.
I don't have a vomit draft, which is just beginning to end, to send to you guys, which you really shouldn't read, by the way, by February 1st, I will pay each of you 100,000 won because that's all I can afford
Wait,
right
February
now.
1st. That's
Soon. This is soon. This is good.
That's in a week.
Yes.
Well, less than a week.
Sorry,
Hey, Danny,
I will yaksok.
can you read that question? The one in your
I'm
hand?
trying to do it in I'm gonna try and translate it.
In English. Okay.
Say you're in a 목욕탕 and all of a sudden it catches on fire, right? And you have to leave, right? And at the exit, they are selling underwear because you're butt naked in the 목욕탕, right? They're
목욕탕
selling,
is a sauna for our non-Korean listeners.
yeah, and they're selling 속옷 at the underwear at the entrance for $1,000. Would you buy it or not buy it? But if you buy it, the underwear is what do you call it? Not lace. What do you call it?
See-through.
See-through, right?
Wait, what?
And it's a thong.
There's a lot of conditions to this.
Yeah, this
thong.
is
Okay.
Okay. If you don't buy it,
Yeah.
there are 100 reporters outside the 목욕탕.
Yeah. But if you do buy it, then you're scot-free. There's nobody out there.
All right. I have the answer.
Yes.
Hang out in the Nengtang because it's water.
I mean, that's a good answer, I guess. But really, what it is,
Will you buy it or not buy it?
I wouldn't buy it.
So you just be butt ass naked.
I don't
Yeah,
carry
why not?
pegmanon in my butt. That would be, how would you have that with you when you're naked in a 목욕탕?
No, you're taking it too far. Should be simple. You have the $1,000.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. It's we're dumbing.
You know
it
what I would
down
do?
A lot.
I would steal the underwear
Uh-huh.
but I would embrace the lace. I think if 100 reporters are going to take pictures of you outside of a burning 목욕탕, that is the time you should be wearing lace underwear.
All right, how about this? All right, this is a better one. You accidentally sent a porn clip out in a katok room, right? But the person was your very strict uncle,
Uh-huh.
or it was
into this.
or to someone that you were having something was going on with. You're not dating yet, but Koreans call it where you're seeing somebody.
Right.
But that person is a bit conservative. Who would you rather send it to?
Wait, what? Someone you're dating. Oh, I would send it to someone I was dating and say, sorry, I meant to send this to my extremely conservative family member.
That's a good answer. I would probably send it to the person I'm dating too.
I send it to my uncle.
You would send it to your uncle? Why?
Yeah.
Because
I'd be like, you 80 motherfucker. Like you need a...
He can't see it.
I was like, when's the last time you felt movement in your loins?
Oh, because he doesn't have access to porn or know how to get.
He's 80, bro. Like you know what I mean. I feel like
Daddy, man.
How
I told
old are
you
most of your family members?
Huh?
How old do they live to?
Around 80, 85.
So do you think that you're gonna die when you're 80 or 85? Do you go day by day thinking I'll probably live another 40 years?
That's kind of if all things go well.
Are you hoping they won't?
No. Meaning if all things go well.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not unfortunate and catch something fucked up.
Are they healthy?
For the most part.
And so you look at them and you're like, I could see that happening.
Yeah. Like on my mom's side, glaucoma, a little bit.
Yep.
A little bit of heart disease, you know.
Man, I feel like Danny and I, because we both have gout, right? I hate talking about gout because people don't care.
Dude, is it just me or does everyone have gout?
A lot of people have gout.
I hung out with someone who had gout last week. It's like, at this point,
Someone we know?
At this point, if I meet like a Korean American anywhere near my age, I consider 50-50 they have gout.
Korean American, not even Korean.
That's just because these are the people that I meet. Maybe Koreans call it something other than gout, and all this time I've just
our last guest, Frank. You know, you met Frank, right? He has gout too. Yeah.
It's called
sorry, Frank.
In Korean. It's called tongpung.
Tongpung.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I've heard more. That's not so many. All this time I was like, it's probably like a fan or something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in terms of health, you know, I should be healthier. I should live better, which clearly I'm not. And you know, what's funny is that a lot of the comics go, 형 건강 괜찮아?
Oh, snap.
왜 fucking 죽지 마, right?
You gotta let the stress go.
I know.
Yoga.
Fire.
But what they're really saying, you look bad.
Yeah.
They're saying like,
Young.
No, it's because
you look like shit.
It's because they're saying like my skin tone looks like, you know, there must be something wrong like internally with me.
I think it's stress, man. I think the stress manifests.
Yeah, and
then it's a loop because you get more stress.
And it's ultimately, you know what it is, the stress. And I actually, you know, I'm because I don't vent it out. I'm trying to figure out what the source of it is.
That's true. You don't vent, so you got to figure like you got to meditate or something. You got to do something like that.
That's why I've been reading to get my mind off of that shit, the other shit.
I think you need to do more. I think maybe you should do some Zen meditation, or I don't know, like get a Zen garden on your desk.
Awesome.
So, I don't know. No, I'm serious, man. Like I really am worried about you because I'm worried about myself too.
Yeah.
I thankfully have my, you know, wife every day, like chansoraing me because she sees this dad bod getting out of control. And, you know, I have my gout flare-ups and I always have like something new. It's always something new every day. Like my stool is coming out different, like, or, you know, I have more gas, or like I have bad breath, or it's something new that like probably has to do with like, or
my stool is coming out.
The last one was on Saturday. I had a long, I peed in the morning, right? So this one, please, if you're out there, I know there's a problem. I've heard about it before, but I peed and I had a crazy amount of bubbles in my in my pee. I have a normal amount of bubbles that come out in my pee stream. I don't know. And that lands in the toilet.
Let's go back to
you know the kind of
stressful fighting amongst ourselves.
You know the kind of bubbles that accumulate and make a mountain? This was like the highest it ever went.
This was a dream you had?
No. I actually peed and I made a mountain of bubbles, right? And I had heard I think my sister-in-law one time told me that is a sign of diabetes or something like that. And my dad had diabetes, so like it really freaked me out.
Is this what you guys normally talk about on your podcast?
No, but I don't know. Things are off the rails at this point. I talked to so somebody out there knows.
I'm kind of digging this. I think this is a really good thing, which is like using your podcast to get free medical advice.
But this is the thing. We don't have enough people that listen to this podcast where we have to really zero in on anything.
No, I think that's a great freedom.
We use this podcast to really just vent. At least I do.
Can I show the growth on my what would be a fun body part?
Do you have multiple growths on different body parts?
I mean, my whole thing is Bobby is asking for medical advice to the world when he has a brother and a sister-in-law that are doctors. That he can be like, hey, yo, I got fucking fizzy ass ojum, dog.
Hey, I can ask them. Yeah, I can ask them, but also
they'll probably watch this podcast.
Maybe there's somebody that is in our demographic that's similar to us and they like our podcast because of it. And they're also peeing like mountains of, bubbles. And so maybe they've already gone to the doctor and figured out what it was, and they can get me an answer quicker than my brother having to be, let me go ask some colleagues. Like, why not? Like, it was like, anyway.
Yeah, you definitely get it faster from a stranger than someone that loves you.
Hey,
fucking idiot!
I could look it up on WebMD too, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
Anyway, moving on, and
I did want to come on you guys' podcast like in like August, like end of August, like right away. I bumped into you guys and we were talking like, yeah, I'll come back and we'll just talk about like loss and stuff. But the reason I wanted to do it was because we had just shot that thing in June, and I saw the video and I thought like I was a little overweight and I lost a lot of weight by the end of August, and I had a feeling it wouldn't last, and I wanted to get it on camera.
You had a cowboy hat on then too, right?
And you're still skinnier than then.
Yeah, no, I lost a shitload of weight, which was, living in Korea. I'll take it how I can get it.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, I've been gaining it all back. I think I'm bigger now than before I came.
When Danny first moved here, he lost a ton of weight.
Yeah. I consider it a feminist action to hold ourselves to the same unrealistic beauty standards.
How did you lose that weight though? It's a health thing though. Come on, like how did you lose that weight? You walked around everywhere.
I don't think that the weight gain is real. The weight loss was due to the intermittent fasting and paleo diet that I was on.
Oh, that's right. You did that with Kenny.
Yeah. It's hard to do because when I first got here, I didn't have a job, right? So my day started at like noon or 1.
Yeah.
Right. So I could not eat until 6 and have one meal and then go to sleep. Like I could run off that, right? But now that I have a more regular human adult schedule, whereas I have to wake up to come to work.
I wake up at noon, so I take this personally.
Yeah. So yeah, I wish that I could continue to wake up at noon and live that way, because I would be able to do the intermittent fasting easier than coming and going to lunch with everybody, and then you're fucking hungry, so and then you're like, okay, let's not eat any carbs, and here I am eating a salad when I get home, a fucking sad ass salad. And it makes me angry eating salads at home. And so I did it for like a week, like recently.
Yeah.
And I said, fuck it, I can't do it. I got angry.
Well, really, the paleo diet is you take out the carbs, right?
Paleo is basically caveman style. So eat foods that were available during the
vegetables.
Certain vegetables, like No potatoes, but yams, yes.
Oh, okay.
Like potatoes did not exist during the paleo era.
But you can.
I think the real key to the paleo diet was to spend most of your day trying to stab a woolly mammoth.
Yes. That's the exercise.
And then if you succeed, you get to eat it.
But that's like
my suspicion.
there's those Korean variety shows where it's like that the celebrities that live in the jungle for like a few days, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's their whole day. It's like finding shelter, catching food, and cooking it. And then after they're done eating, they have to go and find more food, right?
What were those shows they had, like those survivor shows?
Yeah.
And I remember it was like they purposely had contestants that were like vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where they're like, all right, if I'm going to survive in this environment, I have to drop all of that. And I need protein. There's nothing.
Sorry.
Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that.
I was going to say, it'll be really interesting in the near future once society has fallen, when we start watching like Survivor, but it's actual Survivor. And then if you can't survive, you just die. And then they'll just have like, I guess, a camera on your corpse as it degrades.
I mean, everyone's doing vlogs, right? So if it actually was the end of the world, there'd be a lot of that stuff because people would, what.
I'm optimistic. I don't think the world's going to end this year.
Next year, maybe.
I need a few years. I need a few years' time to accomplish a few things that I've yet to accomplish. But yeah, when it comes to just my whole health, it's too cold to walk, man. Well, it's kind of warm now, but like before I was walking, not running, but I was walking. But then that one time it snowed, and then I'm an LA boy, so walking in snow is like a newborn deer walking for the first time. You know what I mean? I walk very slow and gingerly, and I'm like, I don't want to do that in the snow.
Did you not roll around in it and make a snow angel?
Nope.
And then make a snowman.
I haven't
and then
done
perfectly
that.
shape a snowman to look exactly like a life-size version of Totoro, and then take a picture of that and put it on your Instagram.
Did you?
No. But I thought it would be cool to do that if I were to leave the house.
Man. You don't leave the house much?
That's not true. I leave the house all the time. This is a place outside of my house.
Oh, that was a question mark.
It was a question.
Yeah. There wasn't a period. You don't leave the house much?
I walk my dog. I see humans.
Uh-huh.
I would have a job that made money if I wanted.
Rob, all right. We got to get you, at the very least, like, sure, money is important, but you have you got to do a podcast. I think you could do one just on your own too, without a co-host.
That would be very lonely.
But I mean,
how good is your ranting skills by yourself?
Somewhere on the internet is a recording of me going off for 5 minutes at a major Korean movie theater chain that would not refund the stale popcorn that they sold me.
Did you go off in English or in Korean?
Oh, this was in English.
Okay.
It was on the national broadcaster. And it was basically my whole look. I think if you're a movie theater,
is it searchable?
No, I will say that I'll just recreate a small summary version of this rant.
Okay.
If you are a movie theater, you gotta do two things, right? Play a movie, sell some fucking popcorn. I mean, whatever, right?
Right.
If you sell popcorn, I think it can be cold or it can be stale. I'm not asking for a lot.
Yeah.
But you cannot sell cold, stale popcorn.
Sure.
Right? That's not asking for that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like Danny and I, we've both had movies. We've had movies that were in theaters. And I give a little bit.
Did you try the popcorn?
But this is where I start to feel bad for movie theaters. A lot of them out of business now, right? But really, their bottom line it is directly tied to that stale popcorn. Like they make less money on the movies than they do on concessions.
All I ask for is warm, stale popcorn. I would not have asked for a refund if it was
right.
stale.
Customers are always right. But really, the point of that...
No, they're not.
Dude, you know what?
Okay. They're not always right.
All right. But the point of that... Okay, please go. I want to hear your... Yeah. I'm going to check the battery on that.
The dumb thing is I literally spent like 3 days back and forth on the phone with customer service about this.
Wow, that is.
It became like I made like a video that I set to like the Civil War soundtrack, like from like the whole like Ken.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about, man.
And then I did Dear Penelope. And then I did this whole like
that's
voiceover.
That's entertaining, man. That's pettiness. That
I did a whole
belongs
voiceover complaining
on
about
the internet. Like that's like
I long
overabundant
for a world where popcorn is warm and stale. I long for your touch. I mean, basically a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, your thing seems to be done.
And the camera is done.
Maybe that's a sign.
Oh, damn it. It's the memory card.
Double done.
Anyway, it's okay. We keep going.
I think we should just have pictures of ourselves. Maybe a still from the frame where the sound cut off, and we'll all just like act as if we're talking, but we're talking with our mouths very still, and so you don't even have to change the image at all.
It's like Speed.
Yes. You know, I never saw that movie.
You've never seen Speed.
You know what? I never saw Speed. I never saw Titanic.
Okay. I've seen both.
Yeah.
I rather enjoyed Speed. Titanic.
Clap for you, buddy.
We're gonna do an end slate.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Pre-end slate.
Yeah. The Titanic.
We ran out of memory.
If it was okay, VS game, balance game, Titanic or Speed.
To have sex with?
Huh? Sure. Okay, so
Sandra Bullock
or Kate Winslet.
Now?
Sure.
Sure, let's bring it.
I don't know.
This is the yes and.
I would say
sure.
Man, Sandra Bullock. Then and now.
Kate Winslet.
Did either of them win an Oscar?
Yeah, Kate Winslet won an Oscar, right?
Did
Sandra Bullock also won an Oscar?
Yeah, she won for
The Blind Side.
The Blind Side. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then Kate Winslet's Oscar is much better. Wait, she did it for The Reader after doing the thing on the cameo on Extras, where she was like, "I'm gonna do a Nazi movie," and then Oscar bait, which probably is a bad quote. So yes, that's my.
So it was Kate Winslet. Is that who you're going to bump uglies with?
In this imaginary scenario, yes. And then I'll be like, "May I see your Oscar? You did great work."
So if we play, okay, here's where it back to how sensitive these internet people can be, right? Mm-hmm. We're playing a game of the balance game. Who would you bang or whatever, right?
By the way, you guys are involved in this too, listening. Yeah. Please, we want you involved in all the questions that we do. Even that Korean game that we did. It just makes it more fun.
Yeah. So people are going to be like, well, both of them are married guys. And how are you going to joke about sleeping with these married women?
Actually, no.
There's going to be assholes that will figure.
No.
That's not going to get us canceled.
No,
obviously.
The actual criticism would be, it is wrong to look at women as like fantasy figures that you can just casually bang with a magic hammer.
Yeah, that too.
No one would care about the married thing. That's like a non-factor.
See, that's you don't have no idea how randomly people get in trouble. Like I've been dealing with recently. There's a Korean comedian that got in trouble on a podcast for saying that, oh, that place 망했어.
Oh yeah,
right. But it didn't 망했어. So they gave if you do not remove this thing, this podcast or this episode, and you do not give us an official apology, we're gonna fucking sue your ass.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not cancel culture. That's literally like libel defamation law issues.
I know, I get it, but then it's kind of like saying, okay,
Do you guys believe in free speech?
I do.
Free speech? Yeah. Absolutely.
I do and I don't. I was a super free speech American like everyone else, and then in the last like 10 years of everything that's been going on, I believe in free speech, and I believe in like I actually don't know where the line has to be drawn anymore.
I think I know what you're saying, because like online, right? People have their online personality and then they have their real life personality. There's things that they would never say in front of people, but for some reason they feel like they have the license to say whatever they want. That's why you get the most pettiest comments ever online. Have you been on Reddit? Oh my gosh, Reddit is the worst. Like and the best. Because you get the best of the best comments and wittiness you'll ever see, but you'll also see people be so petty and like just so 삐졌어 on there that it's annoying, and it like kind of like it's not fun to see them do that and like see the chaos that they
do you guys remember Voltaire? Do you guys remember reading Candide?
I don't remember. I remember reading it. I don't remember. Do you remember
Dr. Pangloss?
Damn, man. Like you're on a different level, man.
I'm
like I do, but I don't. I'm not like I don't store that stuff like for use.
Well, I mean, so yeah,
I don't even remember Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I never read Lord of the Rings. I thought it was like reading the Bible.
I don't know. Danny will tell you, and our listeners, they know that like my brain like only retains knowledge that because I have so little room in there. I can't hoard information.
No, I remember reading it in high school, and I remember like whatever pointers our teachers told us about, like Voltaire, free speech is always good to the end, blah blah blah. And I don't remember the exact ways it all like broke down as far who was on what side, who was like a warning lesson, who was whatever. But like nowadays, as I've like spent time abroad and I like look at what's been going on in America, and I think about like the sort of free speech absolutism that we were like raised with, and there's definitely like an idealistic cause behind it, and I believe in that idealism. I just don't know the practical day-to-day matter works anymore as a society.
Well, I mean, the freedom of speech, saying free speech means that you're not going to get arrested for the shit you utter, no matter how crazy it can be, right? That's what the free speech part is, right?
I mean, we're going back to the same conversation.
But you getting fired,
comics creed, right?
Yeah, but you getting fired is because that whoever employs you is not the government. It's a private company, so they can do whatever the fuck they want to. So if they fire you for you saying crazy shit, it is what it is.
I think I also, because I worked for all the English language broadcasters in Korea for so long.
You're not allowed to say Pepsi,
and on top of that, they were all government run.
Yeah, no, because they were all government run, I got so used to talking with a little miniature version of the quote unquote the man, listening to every word that I say.
What do you call those people that they
fucking assholes.
Monitors?
Monitors. They monitor every show.
No, I mean, I got used to my day-to-day time being like monitored at work, where you just have to kind of always keep like a running process going in your brain. Like, can I say this? Should I say this? Is it worth it? And you kind of get used to it.
That.
And it is, it does restrict your ability to think.
Even as a guest, as a weekly guest, like I always got these comments from the writers or the producers on those shows where like, oh, you said McDonald's at this point. You said something like, chicken McNuggets. I couldn't say that because that was like directly tied to McDonald's, and I'm just a guest, like. And
he was on my radio show,
but I was a weekly guest, so they were bringing me back every week, and they're like, just like, it's not good for the, we can't give, what is it, free advertising? We can't give, I don't know. We can say McNuggets on our show.
I'll tell you what though, like since Bobby's lived here and me, like, every time I came to visit, and also now that I live here, living or hanging out with Bobby, even before I got here, he put the fear of Korean censorship down onto, like, it's to a point where I've become fucking pussified. You know what I mean? Because before I didn't care as much.
Yeah.
Now I do. There's some good things to it, but there's a lot of bad things where I'm a step behind in terms of saying something because of it being filtered into my is this cool or not.
For one thing, we're guests in this country, right?
Yeah.
We're not Korean citizens, so we can't take part in the political debate.
Yeah, but none of my filtering was about the politics of it all.
I would say one thing though. I would argue that the status of, let's say, minorities in America, women across the world, like, if you are existing in a state of minority, in a state of not being in power, your day-to-day existence is constantly running processes, constantly, to see if it's okay for me to say this in front of this person, that person, this person.
Yeah.
And it is a burden. And it's a burden that fries up your brain. And it is taken up so much of people's like existence for so long. I think that the feeling that we get where that is imposed upon us as like a request of courtesy, of like recognizing someone's like humanity, let's say, in a larger idealistic sense.
We'll stand up for things like, or maybe it's not in the political, like, but like we'll stand up for things we believe in, like gay rights.
Yeah,
like,
I'm saying that it's okay to run that process and you get used to it. I'm not saying that process has to take over all of your brain and that you can never say anything. I'm just saying that process where we ask ourselves, is it okay to say this? Is it okay to think this? That process is what a lot of people live with all the time.
What I'm saying is that me being here, more new processes have been installed, and I'm like, oh my god,
it's work, man. It's tiring, and
it's especially for me where like it requires me to be a little bit faster than most people verbally.
There are some restrictions.
I'm like, I can't fucking say that. I shouldn't say that.
But and this is I think Danny can do it. I think Danny's one of the few people who can do it. Like, I have faith in you.
No, I'm not gonna say that.
I mean, there's things that, like we get, to a certain extent, we're Kyopos and we get a pass when it comes to us being ignorant about things. We can swear in certain
But you've gotten softer too, for sure.
I fucked up too. Like, I remember one time I tried to say pubic hair on stage.
Yeah.
Because I was talking.
I feel comfortable talking about pubic hair.
I was talking like in between songs, right? It's just. But I didn't know how to say, because I was talking about, hey, I just found white pubic hair. That means I'm getting old, and it was really sad, right?
Say it in Korean.
And so I tried to say that in Korean, and I was like, I said chajimari or something, chajitar or something like that, and zero laughter.
But
like, I mean, it wasn't.
And I don't understand why that church.
It was like crickets, right? And so I remember my wife telling me, you can't just like say whatever you want, you know. So.
I mean,
these sound effects are really loud.
I mean, I personally think it's that you think that number one, not like you can get away with it because of that. your character, which is this, like this, people, even when you curse, people find it cute and endearing, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you've been kind of spoiled for you to kind of push it a little bit.
Yeah.
But Chajimori or Chajitor is not, dude, I've said Chajitor on stage. People
Technically,
It was like-
Chajimori would be penis head.
yeah.
Or Chajitar. I said Chajitar, I think.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. And my wife was like, I think you crossed the line there. There's another thing I said on this show.
Yeah.
Or I said somewhere else. And she's like, do not say, I was on Spoon.
Oh.
Right? Because I learned this phrase in Japan when I lived there. Because there are a bunch of guys, it's 40 guys, right? Working at a semiconductor factory.
Right.
And we're all living dormitory style. And they taught me this phrase, horosheki. Horosheki.
It means like be bastard.
It's like bastard. You don't have a.
Is that
you
in
don't
the
have
subtitles for Game of Thrones?
You don't have parents.
Yes.
You're a seki without parents.
Yes.
But that doesn't sound that. I mean, like, but if you say that to someone, those are fighting words.
I mean,
Not only that-
I will say this:
She
if
said-
you learn language from your dormitory of 40 Korean men working industrially abroad,
Right.
maybe that's.
I learned even worse things
Yeah.
that I even know I can't say.
But maybe-
that was said so
Yeah,
much
but-
that it was like. I
But
mean,
like the same reason why you're like, I don't understand why the English that I learned from the dock workers bar in Boston is not acceptable at
Yeah.
my workplace. This is unfair.
That's like complaining why you can't say cunt because you learned it somewhere. You know what I mean?
Although I fucking love that Bobby went and basically was like a laborer on like an oil rig or something. What did you do?
An oil rig.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
I worked in a factory. I had to put the suit on and everything, the boots, everything, every day.
Every once in a while, I look at what
Graveyard
Bobby's done
shift.
in his life in the last like 5 years, and I'm like, is that one person?
I had to do what I had to do. I did this. I went to Japan for 6 months, right? And I think some people
You
know.
were a laborer in Japan. You were what would the Korean phrase be? Like you were 노동자.
No, but he wasn't doing heavy.
Oh, were you management?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was so I went, right, but I missed the last 6 months of my wife's pregnancy. So she had to go through that alone. I was just sending money home. But it's the most
기러기 아버지.
it was the most money I ever made. Like literally, because we're in Japan, living dormitory style. None of that I get per diem. So I'm getting money for food. So all the money I'm making is not going to rent or whatever. It's just going back home. Like, because housing was taken care of, transportation, all of it was taken care of, like food, all that. So I was just sending all the money home. So last year I needed to do that to provide.
I totally get why you did it. I just think it's fascinating that you did it and also did all this other shit.
I think we got into it before, but it's long story short. I ended up going as a Korean translator, Korean English translator, to all these 40 plus Korean contractors at a semiconductor factory. Really smart, bright guys. They're doing like amazing work. I don't know what that was, but really complicated work. And I was there. My Korean is terrible. Why did I go?
I literally thought Bobby was at an
I was a translator.
I thought you were a laborer in an oil rig in Alaska.
No.
In my mind, Bobby's like, yo, I can't believe Bobby
I wasn't allowed
went to go work as a oil rig guy.
I wasn't allowed to touch tools or anything like that because it's just like a dangerous place. People died. Some people died while I was there in those factories.
Not to belittle your work.
So I went, and the big reason I was there was because there's the relationship between Koreans and Japanese was so harsh, and I didn't learn that for real until I moved to Japan. And it was because the person that I took over, he got fired because he had a hot head and he got into a fight with the Japanese people. So my friend that owned the company, he called me and said, hey, I know your Korean is good enough. We'll walk you through it, but we just need someone we know that won't get into fights. And
that makes more sense.
Yeah, so I got that call and said, we believe that you're not gonna get into fights, and you might even keep the peace. So I went, and I made good friends there actually, both Japanese and Korean. And so a big thing that I got out of that is I want to see the reconciliation between Japanese and Koreans, but I understand how deep it goes even more because I was there and I saw and experienced things from both sides and whatnot. So I know it goes a lot deeper, and I won't go any more into it, but it's pretty intense. But at the same time, I do want to be part of that reconciliation between both countries.
Bobby, I don't think it's a huge mystery. There's like a pretty well-established war history and animosity.
Well, you even saying that I want like a reconciliation to a certain percentage of the...
It's a given.
Yeah, to a certain percentage of the population.
Some people don't.
No, that's what I'm saying. A certain percentage of this population is going to be like, fuck that, from both sides, right? So again, that can be political.
That's true.
I think everything is political.
That's why my point is...
choose your battles.
That's why my point is... Let's not overstress. What I realized about me moving here and starting this podcast, particularly with Bobby, you know what it is? Is that there was an old Bobby where if I told a dirty joke, would just laugh, react, and say something, right?
Yeah.
But now he pulls back. And I go, yo, what the fuck?
Hey, I have a kid now, right? So here's the thing.
So
I can't not be political because for instance, if we as foreigners in Korea being here on a visa as guests, if we went to like Park Geun-hye, like when she was president and everyone was waiting outside of Gwanghwamun and doing
we can't do that. Yeah, we talked about this.
We can't do that, right? So anything like that scares me because if I take a stance politically and I know I'm not supposed to on Korean politics, if that can get me kicked out and put my family in jeopardy, I'd rather not touch it.
Yeah, but clearly you weren't paying attention to what I just said. I had said nothing political. I said, hey, back then, when I said something that was crass, you reacted, you laughed, you said something. Now you pull back every single time I go dirty. And I went, what the fuck happened to this guy?
Cancel culture.
Yeah.
You know,
I will say this though, things changed. Time has changed.
Yeah,
there's like it would not make sense to or it's just another. Do you guys watch Attack on Titan?
No.
Is that a anime?
It's an anime. It's very like war PTSD-ish, but like there's so many things that can happen in like passage of time and like our lives and like shit. It can be.
I think my wife's here.
Sure, it can be super traumatic, right? And like there are lessons there, and ultimately, like even though we enjoy all those times where we got to be those people together at the same time, you can't go back to that, man.
No, I know. I mean, obviously, and that's why originally when I said, "Hey, let's do this podcast," in my mind, it was with that established.
Yeah.
And then now that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you expect when you do this, you expect that, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And the energy gets kind of stonewalled. Then you're like,
it's the yes and issue.
Then you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Now what? Right. So that's where my biggest frustration with this is.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming me for not figuring out how to go around it. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
I mean, ultimately, it is. You do want to find both ways to get around it, right? Like, obviously, you want to meet somewhere in the middle, and he should find more elegant ways to yes and.
Right.
You know, you can always parry.
Yeah.
As opposed to no. This is not a sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I agree with.
Yeah. That's why, you know, I mean, like overall, just to me, I have my frustrations with a lot of things are like, I'm like, wow, man, we are not we are being, or I feel like I'm being handcuffed
Anything.
in terms of not just my comedy, but just everything in general. It's like almost everything mame 안 들어 that I'm part of right now. I'm just like, it's like I want to fucking yell at people because I'm like, for once, just once, can someone see it my way?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the feelings that you're talking about are not too different from a lot of the feelings I feel.
Yeah.
The way I would describe it is that, like, I'm really afraid that, like, all this shit is changing. I'm having trouble keeping up. And it's scary. Like, you're always a little unsure whether or not you're going to be able to stay relevant to the things that are changing around you. But I think that's the challenge that we want to get ahead of.
Yeah.
But it's scary, and it's that process is stressful.
I think it's, but maybe it's a belief. It's a belief that people are overcorrecting. So if we stay what we feel is right, it might pass us, but I feel like it'll come back just because everything is always overcorrecting. But I believe that whatever our line is eventually going to be right.
We're talking about cancel culture still.
But everything about why, for example, like there's the reason why I'm frustrated is because I feel like everything that I'm involved in right now, every single thing that I have to work with people, it's like I not even 80% close to what I want to do.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? And
I agree with you.
And that's why that's me holding it in, because I never go, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know? And with everything.
I do, yeah. but I do believe that a certain amount of calibration is necessary. So I think we do have to pump the brakes a little bit. Like,
I don't, but that's again, that's the frustration, because you're gonna come from, we need to pump the brakes. I go, not really. And then if we're going to just, we're not gonna, obviously, I'm not saying you're right, and I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying you're right, right? But
it's more than, but Danny, it's like, it's more than restraint, though. I'm not talking about restraint. I'm talking about just like us really kind of rethinking things, and from other people's perspectives for once, because there's been a balance issue, I think that favored male. Let's talk about the whole Me Too thing. The balance was definitely off.
Yeah,
and we
I get
didn't realize it.
Yeah, but a lot
of people didn't realize.
No, I get it.
So,
I get it. But overall, it's just, I mean, again, that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Right?
I'm just using it as an example.
So overall, like, even like the frustration is that like it's not connecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my brain goes, I want to yell at all the time.
Yeah.
Every time. At everything, when I'm on comedy stages, when I'm talking to fucking comedians, when I'm on everybody's podcast, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's a lot of walking on glass.
Yeah.
Right? So
I agree with certain parts of what you're talking about, which is there isn't a settled line, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a hope that the line settles in a place that's closer to where we're comfortable, right? That's natural. And it's what we, as like people who have been around longer, people who are, established in one way or another, are comfortable with, right? And so that desire for that line to settle closer to our comfort zone is completely natural, because the older we get, the more we're established, the more averse we are to that discomfort.
Right.
But the big challenge, and I think for you as a creative individual moving forward, the one that you're always like, the one that you are hungry to head head off, like face on, like in the beginning, that challenge is scarier and bigger, and you definitely worry that your tools are not as sharp or whatever, or you don't have as much leeway, right? Whether it's societal blowback or like all of that, right? And that entire combination is always going to feel like a barrage. But and again, this is as a friend and as a creative person, I think you can navigate that, right? Whether you feel that it's like threading a needle or like getting over like a mountain, it's definitely a challenge.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna avoid it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it's just the people around, even the people around me. Obviously, it's not. Even when you write a joke, right? That first time you try it out, it's not even 80% done.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
So it's gonna be a shit joke where you should have zigged when you zagged, but you didn't, and you just headed directly to all the disaster, right? But eventually, if I believe that I'm capable of eventually figuring out how to dodge all the landmines.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I am surrounded, even in the creative culture here,
sure,
of people that are just like afraid to even play in the landmines.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's okay.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
like they're afraid that the blowback will hit them. And
so we're talking about two conversations, right? There's one that is like just evolution, right?
Yeah.
We just have to progress as a society, whatever it is, we're progressing as even our minds are progressing. But then there's also that conversation of, we're fallible beings, right? We can also take things too far. And I think we have, just in human nature, let's not call it a Korea thing or a non-Korean thing. Korea, maybe it's a little bit more intense, but it really is just human, right? Like for us to be fallible and just take it too far.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I feel like we're getting away from what I think Danny was actually talking about, which is it's not about cancel culture and going too far. I think it's like standing with the people that you create with as your friends. And if you're like navigating this, agreeing to kind of like navigating it together, agreeing to not be like, oh, I don't know this guy, or, oh, I don't know, I'm not part of this. Like, I think there's always like a fear, the fear of getting canceled makes people want to wash the like inconvenience of other more dangerous work away from them, like kind of wash their hands. And I think
Danny and I have been through this. Even with K-Town Cowboys, like there's like a lot of it's a lot of bowing to society, like whatever is acceptable in society's eyes at the moment. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of push and pull, and so
I think it's important not to abandon the people that you came up with. I think it's also important to agree to grow with them. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's really the bond that has to be worked on.
Yeah,
totally.
No, that's why I am even for this podcast, right? The reason why I was like, yo, I'm not going to have another fucking co-host, right? Is because that's what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not because like I can't find a fucking funnier, more entertaining, dude, there's plenty. I can go down the street and find a funnier motherfucker, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah, you hear that, Bobby?
Right. It's about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can find someone that can pay attention and not just go, wait a minute, I wasn't paying attention to you, because that's not good in a podcast ever. That's not good in conversation. But even with all of that shit, I'm not going to get another co-host because it is what it is. That's my point. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I can find fucking comedian fools. I can find all these other people, but that's not why I'm going to do it. Right. So my brain is like you said, I'm going to bond and I don't want to say grow old, but I'm going to continue to cultivate this type of friendship and bond because that's the type of person I am. You know what I mean?
Some people are looking for like freshly squeezed orange juice, and Danny and I happen to make a mixture of Tang. And so,
Wait, what?
but some people love Tang over orange juice, so we'll fight for that. What 2% of?
I still don't understand that fucking.
I don't.
It's the astronaut orange juice.
Most people don't know what Tang is.
Yeah.
Hot Tang. Do you know what? Have you had hot Tang? Like anyway.
With whiskey in it. Like
yeah.
the astronauts drink.
It's having sex in the summer in Korea. Yay!
There we go. We're back.
Hey!
Oh, we're back. And then
Where the
China.
vagina smells like salt and vinegar chips. Hey!
All right.
I had to do it. We're at fucking an hour and a half.
Oh, we are at over an hour and a half. Yeah, we're
You like the salt and vinegar chips, though, right? Like,
Just waiting for the podcast.
Hey, we can go a good 4 hours if you want. Like,
No, I
we're
felt
good
like
to
that was
go.
a natural end.
Nah, I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it.
No, you know, honestly, as like
40 minutes ago, I was like, oh, we
as
were
like,
off the rails.
As like someone who like doesn't have an established career, I think this is also one of those things, right? Like there's like I think the largest fear of cancel culture is not about getting canceled by everyone. It's getting canceled by people you thought were your friends who won't even give you the benefit of the doubt because they're afraid of getting canceled by everyone else. I think there's a legit issue with people who won't even draw like personal connections to the people they know and can personally influence as far as like, I don't give a shit what comedian elsewhere is doing comedy or whatnot. Like I can talk to Danny about his material and give like, yeah, you know, this, that, whatever. And then he can be like, yeah, fuck you, I don't care. Or he can be like, all right, you know, and then that relationship, that's where we control shit, right?
But I've dealt with this in the damn, I'm a little buzzed. I dealt with this because my movie came out at a very precarious time where you know it's in theaters, but people are getting canceled for saying, hey, go out, like when they're out, even like having dinner.
How dare you tell your fans to go out at this time when they're gonna, they should stay home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like I have some influencer friends or like famous friends.
Oh, they give a shit about that?
I mean, like I want to, like they can't really post, hey, Bobby's movie is out in theaters, go out and risk your lives kind of thing. That's what it is. They can't take that chance. That I can understand.
I will say,
but let me tell you this. Mm-hmm. Have those same people said that your movie's out on VOD in Korea?
Yeah.
No.
Then fuck those guys.
So
I will bring this back to this because I think this is a real problem. The phrase cancel culture is extremely loaded and usually never talked about in the right ways. I think not enough people stand with the people that they should stand with as just friends and relationships.
Yes.
That should stand the way it should normally stand, which is, look, if you're friends with this person, like have a conversation with them. Like don't fucking sell them down the river because they become inconvenient. That's legitimate. That's a legitimate conversation.
I've seen that happen, unfortunately. And so,
I mean, it's easier for me to say because I have nothing to cancel.
Me neither, actually, to be honest. I have nothing to. My shows got canceled already, man. For the last 2 months, I'm a fucking team junk now. That's all I do.
Let's be super optimistic about this.
But
watch Bobby's VOD.
But this is an important conversation that we have to have. Maybe off camera is fine too. But like everyone needs to hear this. That's in our situation. We're very similar in age, and we're going through similar issues. And barriers we can't break through, right? So really it is like, how do we figure out a system that works for us, a support system, something where we can give to the world, to people that are just like us, and give them an opportunity to break through those barriers. I think of like a lot of like startups, right? Startups they're basically figuring out things that they can they address issues that or address problems that need to be fixed and immediate problems. I think between the three of us, we can figure out something that we can't figure out getting through. Maybe it's our scripts or whatnot, but like, let's do that tonight or in the coming weeks. And we have a deadline. You said
I assume I'm not good enough. I would love to be proven wrong. Is there like a camera I can look at?
I'm the type of person to be like, yeah, they're probably right.
Cheers.
So
let's end this podcast before we make more stupid promises that only us three should hear and not the rest of the people that are listening.
This was an interesting podcast.
I pledge to not come back until I'm successful.
Dan, that means you're never coming back. Fuck.
But Rob, I love seeing you. Every time I see you, like, it's a joy.
Yeah, no, I think we had a really good conversation. I don't know how interesting it'll be for people who are not us to watch it, but I think this conversation is important,
remains to be seen
and necessary.
So
we don't
apologize.
Yeah. And we shouldn't.
No.
We shouldn't.
No.
That's why, you know what I don't like? I don't like somebody telling a joke or trying to be mean and saying just kidding at the end. That's some bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Just be mean and fucking stay there.
But it's also okay to edit a 5-minute joke down to the funny parts.
Right.
I'm not editing it. I'm not going to edit this show.
This is just all on Bobby.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what a podcast is, and it should be like unedited. It should be just what we
unless you say something like foul, like super foul, that's really like, okay, we can't, even I, the one that's has a fucked up moral compass,
right.
Even I can't fucking defend.
All right, let's get to that stuff. Let's end the show
unless
now.
you say something like, and then cut to black.
You fucking...
No, that was the end.
Peace.
All right, bye.